Welcome to the second day of our breakdown of the teams leading into the 2021-2022 Serie A season. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Cagliari and Empoli.
Yeah, 9 days to go. Let's take a look. Good morning and welcome back to the pink table. As we did yesterday, we did Atalanta and Bologna. We're going to follow this path until the beginning of the season. Today, we're going to be covering Cagliari and Empoli, alphabetical order. If you guys haven't seen Atalanta and Bologna, check that out. We just go over the team's formation, what's added, what's new, and any news around them right now. Transfer market news is probably going to change these teams a bit moving into the season, but we'll give you an update on where we are now. And we'll also be doing a Fantacalcio show thing next week, so at least it's close to the time. So, Elaine, let's start off with Cagliari.
Yeah, the team from Sardinia is looking very interesting this season. Once again, they're always a bit of a tricky team to play against, especially when you travel to the island. They've managed to retain the services of Cragno in goals, so that's a great plus sign for them. Very interesting defense. You've got Godin, Cipitelli, which is no surprise. They've been at the team since last year. Maybe the surprise being that Godin actually stuck around. Many considered him a goner at the end of last year.
Yeah.
The interesting addition to the centre-back department is going to be the young Carboni. Not really a centre-back, more of a left-back. So the way we've got the central defense displayed here is probably not so accurate. I would say it's more going to be Godin in the middle, Cipitelli on the right, and Carboni out left is more realistic.
It could also just be the formation right now, and then with new players coming in, they'll update it. But I think this is would be the best formation they can play today if they were to play today.
Yeah. Well, when you move to the midfield, you realize that's not 100% true because you've got Strootman and Rog. Rog is out at the moment. He did sustain that knee injury in pre-season, so that's a huge blow to the team. But it does look like through the transfer market, they may be able to plug that gap, if I'm not mistaken, Damien.
Well, with Rog going out, so now Nainggolan is obviously vincolato, so they've reached his contract, so his contract's no longer valid with Inter, so he's a free agent, free to join Cagliari if he wants. There's some talk about him going to Turkey, but let's see. I'm pretty sure he'll end up going back to Cagliari and slot in right there next to Strootman. Another option is Cagliari's Direttore Sportivo was in Milano the other day, speaking to Milan to see if they could get Pobega on loan to fill that spot. So that's something to see there. And also their two wingers in their midfield, Dalbert and Nandez. So Dalbert's a new acquisition, so he's obviously going to be there. Nandez is a big question mark. He's been promised by the Cagliari president to be able to leave Cagliari this year. He seemed to be going to Inter, and those talks have stopped. Cagliari have said that they're not going to be pressured to sell him. So let's see what happens there. So Nandez is also a big question mark. So I think there's a few changes that are going to happen to Cagliari's midfield.
Yeah. So the midfield is a bunch of question marks at the moment. The opposite, if you move into the attack players that have been at the team for a while, you've got Marin and Pedro. Pedro, who's an evergreen at this team. Currently, I believe, the top scoring Brazilian player in Europe. He's had a late renaissance in his career and is a very dangerous player, a thorn in the side to a lot of the big teams. And they're going to be spearheaded by Pavoletti, who's a big, strong frontman who's not afraid to get his head onto the end of a ball. So they're looking like an interesting team. I think it's going to depend a lot, obviously, on what remains of this midfield. If they can keep Nandez and add Nainggolan, I think they'll be a difficult team to face.
Oh, that's what we thought last year, and then they were fighting for relegation. So hopefully they have all those problems resolved. The only question mark is Pavoletti is very good. I would be very interested to see who their substitute striker is. I think they still have Simeone, but that's something just to look into. But yeah, they have a good team. I'm not going to give it a stamp of approval yet, just depending on what comes through from that midfield. They also got rid of, I'm going to forget the name. He moves to Fiorentina now.
Of course. We're talking about.
It's Sotil. So they've lost Sotil, which I think is a big loss from Cagliari. Like he's not a world-class player. He definitely brings substance, and he always put some good performances. So right now, we're not going to give Cagliari the stamp of approval. Let's see how it goes, and then maybe closer to time we can touch base again on Cagliari's formation.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Big question marks on this formation at the moment. The other formation we're going to be taking a look at for the day is the first team we see in this countdown that has come up from Serie B. So, Damien, what do you make of the Empoli formation?
Yeah, so it's good to have another team from Toscana in. It's close to Firenze. We can probably go to those games quite a bit. They're going for a 4-3-1-2. So I think the main question is Empoli going to manage to stay up? So in their formation, they've gone ahead and acquired Vicario, the goalkeeper, which I think he's a decent goalie for newly promoted team. And then in the 4-man defense, we have Stojanovic. I think that's how you say it. He's also new. Romagnoli, Nicolau, and Marchizza. So it's decent defense.
Yeah, I like the defense. Marchizza came up through the Roma youth rankings. So I've seen him a bit. He's a solid, serviceable left back. And as far as young left backs go, young centre backs go, I would keep an eye on Nicolau. He's going to get a lot of game time. He's young, he's exciting, and maybe an interesting low-budget purchase for your fantasy team.
Okay, interesting. Midfield, we have the three in the midfield. Pretty straightforward. We have Zurkowski, Stulak, and Haas. To be honest, I'm not very familiar with any of these players, so I don't know how well they would perform. But
yeah, like Stulak and Haas are serviceable players. They're not the most physical, so they may struggle with the pace and the physicality of Serie A. Zurkowski is a very interesting young addition to the team. And I'm excited to see what he can add to the central midfield. Once again, not the most physical player, but also a player to keep an eye on, along with the next player we take a look at just behind the strikers.
Yeah, so behind the strikers, we have Bajrami and Mancuso. So I think that's where the quality of this team lies.
Oh, yeah. Bajrami is a player that I really highly rate. I think it's surprising that he stayed at Empoli for the last couple of years. And is a player that I would really recommend keeping an eye on. If he can deliver what I expect him to, even if Empoli fails to avoid the drop, I don't think he will.
Yeah, and this team will be spearheaded right now. As of today, it seems to be official that Cutrone is going to be joining Empoli on loan from Wolves. So I think that's great to have him back in Italy, giving him the chance to spearhead an attack. I don't think that was given to him in Fiorentina. So he's always been a bench player. So he'll be doing the relay with La Mantia. So it'll be good to see Cutrone back in Serie A. Listen, I think it's an interesting team. I would say they're going to be fighting for relegation here. Like, it's one of the teams that's...
Look, it's a team that's definitely improved over the last year with the transfers they've made. They've taken some gambles with the players they've brought in, except for maybe Cutrone, who knows the league well and is actually exciting. I always rated him a lot at Milan, and it was a pity to see him leave. So it's an interesting team. Andreazzoli is a very organized coach that he won't do anything special, anything out of the box. There's not going to be any tactical masterclasses, but the team's going to be very organized and difficult to break down. And who knows, if these young players bring it together, looking especially at Zurkowski and Bajrami, then who knows, they might actually be able to avoid the drop at the expense of someone else.
Yeah. So in regards to approval, I don't see them being better than Benevento of last year. And Benevento weren't able to save themselves. So I don't know. Would we give them the stamp of approval for a team that's coming up, or?
They're going to be interesting. They've definitely got better from last year, but I don't know if they're going to be able to avoid the drop.
Okay. So maybe no approval right now.
Not right at the moment. If they can add somebody more physical to midfield, we give them that stamp of approval.
Fair enough. Okay, fantastic. So that sums that up. Tomorrow we will be touching base on Fiorentina and Genoa. So those are two big teams. They've done a few changes to their formation, so it'll be quite interesting to see what they're up to. But I hope you enjoyed the information that we shared today.
Yeah, really exciting. The teams we're going to be looking into tomorrow also having some major changes, and we will be with you tomorrow to bring those updates. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe this channel, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Pink Table.